Well, I think I found my way into the criminal underbelly of rural Missouri, having breakfast at grandma's house, right? This lady started during COVID. She gets up at 3:30 in the morning to cook breakfast. And at a time, Austin, when we have a loneliness epidemic in our country, when we're talking about people are in front of their screens too often, here's a woman that's creating community where she's at in a rural area, providing that.
I wanted to get to my next guest. I'm really excited to have her here on the show. A good friend of mine, Jennifer Bukowsky. She's a Missouri criminal defense attorney, syndicated talk radio host, co-chair of the Republican National Lawyers Association, and vice chair of the Missouri Republican Party. In addition to being a mom, she is everything, all of the above. She's handled more than 14 cases, clerked for Missouri Supreme Court Judge Mary Russell, assisted public defender, drafted Missouri's expungement law, and previously taught innocence clinic work at the University of Missouri, in addition to many other things. Jennifer, welcome to the show. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Austin. Good morning.
You were the first person I thought about when I saw this story because I was just outraged when I saw the news. And I know you're a liberty lover like me. This Missouri grandma in Boone County was ordered to stop serving free breakfasts. She's refusing to back down, saying they are my family. So Boone County is demanding that this woman, Kathy Kite, show that she has a health and safety license from the county to give away free homemade breakfasts. Your reaction to this story?
Well, I think I found my way into the criminal underbelly of rural Missouri, having breakfast at grandma's house, right? This lady started during COVID. She gets up at 3:30 in the morning to cook breakfast. And at a time, Austin, when we have a loneliness epidemic in our country, when we're talking about people are in front of their screens too often, here's a woman that's creating community where she's at in a rural area, providing that fellowship, providing that meeting space, and the government's coming down on her. Why? Is it the tip jar? Is it that she advertises for this on Facebook? The definition for food establishment is pretty broad, probably too broad in my opinion. And so they're using that to say, look, you need to have a commercial style kitchen. She has like a 151-year-old house. That would be a substantial renovation when all she's doing is providing free breakfast for her friends. And you know what? We're not too stupid to be free, Austin. You can assume the risk. If you don't trust Katie to keep her hands clean and to only serve you eggs that don't have salmonella in them and that have been properly refrigerated or whatever the case may be, don't go eat there. But I think we can assume the risk in our country. And the Goldwater Institute, they haven't filed a lawsuit yet, but their letter to intervening in this action, warning of litigation, indicates it's kind of interesting because they're saying that there's a right to entertain people in your own home. It's like a right of association. So they're not saying that what she's doing doesn't fall within the, codes and regulations and ordinances regarding what qualifies as a food establishment, because she doesn't fall under, there's one that's like for baked goods, but when you're making actual, eggs and sausage and things like that, that's not going to qualify for that. But they are saying that it's a constitutional right to private hospitality in one's home. So I'm interested to follow this case and see where it leads.
I do too. I am too, Jennifer. And thanks for that amazing breakdown. That was great. Kathy Kite says that the breakfast began after the local gas station where she works stopped serving them. So a few regulars started coming to her home, but then word spread through Harrisburg, which is this town, fewer than 300 people. Mothers began bringing their children before school. So I guess the question is, legally, what is going to be the fact that matters most? That the food was free, that the group grew, the invitation was public, like you said, on Facebook, or that this happened in a private home? What do you think is going to matter the most?
Interestingly, the fact that the food is free doesn't exempt it from the statute or the ordinance. I forget if it's an ordinance or a statute here. It specifically contemplates free food. But then the tip jar, I guess, is not a helpful fact. The thing that the advertising to the public, I think, and having the sign that says open at her house to indicate whether she's open or closed, I think those are factors that are going to possibly bring this, that they're using to bring this within regulation.
So Boone County says that food permits are not required when someone feeds family and friends, but they are required when food is provided to the public. But in a town this small, Kite says that the community is her family.
Yeah, and that's a good argument, I think.
Yeah. So how does Missouri law define the public in this setting? And does the county have a written criteria that a homeowner could read before the health department sends a letter?
Yeah, isn't that the rub? Like, there's just so many laws and such vague ones too, including this definition of a food establishment, that it's hard to comply with everything. And I'm sure that in this town of 300 people, luckily Goldwater is involved here, but ordinarily people in those sorts of circumstances aren't going to be able to call the big fancy law firm to come and defend them if they're giving out free food to their neighbors.
So the county told Fox News in this report that it acted after a complaint alleged that someone became ill from food served there. Now, she denies making people sick.
First of all, who complained? I would be curious to know that. I'm sure a lot of people in Hartsburg are curious about that. But how do you prove that that's what even caused it? You're not talking about an outbreak of 40 people that all ate breakfast there. You're talking about a complaint. And like that person isn't probably an epidemiologist and doesn't necessarily know that the two were even connected.
I have a hard time believing that Boone County brought an epidemiologist into this. Now, the county says that it issued no citation or cease and desist order. So what is the investigative step that should come between an unverified illness complaint and a warning letter?
Well, that's a good question. Like they have sent a warning letter. Goldwater has sent one back. The next thing would be to do a cease and desist, I suppose, if she doesn't comply, or to do some sort of inspection. But if it's true, and I don't know, I'm just reading the news doesn't always get everything right. But if it's really true that they're expecting her to get a commercial style equipment in her 115-year-old house, that would be patently absurd.
Now, Kite says that compliance would require a commercial kitchen. It would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's her estimate, though, not a county cost finding. So the county says there are safe, allowable ways to provide homemade food with and without a permit. So what specific paths do you think the officials should put in writing? Is there a low-cost category for a free, small-scale community meal that doesn't operate like a restaurant?
There is one for baked goods, like I mentioned. I forget the term for it, but that wouldn't fall when you're making breakfast burritos. You're handling eggs and meat that could have, undercooked, could carry some of these diseases. That's for more baked goods, the homestead or something like that, exemption. But I wonder, is there a waiver here that they could offer her? Like, is there some sort of not clemency like the governor or president have, but isn't there some sort of thing where you can give an exemption? I know there are for sign codes in Columbia. There are for a number of different things within the law where you can say, okay, this is a special event. We will sanction this and we will wait and see without requiring this to be treated like a restaurant that's in it, just actually serve the whole public, people pulling off the highway where you might still, as a liberty-minded person, the fact that we have all these regulations is troubling to begin with. But especially in this case, where this is a community that's like set, they know each other, so they can make a decision whether to trust her food or not. We don't need the government involved here.
JJ4884 in the chat is just kind of showering us with cash this morning. Hi, JJ. Says domestic industry needs an exemption. Well, I think I would agree with that one. Now, Boone County's own public information says that an establishment that serves or prepares food requires inspection, but they made a statement to Fox, Jennifer, that recognizes that there are non-permit ways to share homemade food. So who has the authority in this to clarify the boundary? Is it the county health director, city county board of health, county commission, or is this a Missouri General Assembly question?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would have to look into that a little more, but I think it's under the purview of the Boone County Department of Health and at this stage right now. But the legislature certainly could create some sort of statewide exemption that says, look, for this kind of situation, we will create an exception. But then the problem is with creating exceptions based on one specific fact pattern, Is that bad facts make bad law? Do we want to create an exception which a lot of other people could follow? Or, I mean, are we fine with that?
I mean, I
We
don't
can
know.
carefully draft it.
To me, I understand the importance of food safety, but there's something that I guess maybe intrinsic. Maybe it's being a libertarian. Maybe it's just something that this story is Missouri and it's local, so it hits me hard. But it just strikes me as the typical David versus Goliath. Innocent Missouri grandma who just wants to take care of people in her community, in her town, and people who are voluntarily eating there, and she should be left alone. That the community is trying to make an example out of her for some reason, but it's not as if there are like tons of other examples of this happening, Jennifer. Like, do you think that the
There are
county
options for this community
Yeah.
to gather and have a breakfast.
Right? Do they have some fear that
serving food?
like do you think that the county is afraid that all of a sudden we're going to have an outbreak of mass charity and people are going to start feeding their neighbors and being helpful and kind? Is that what they're afraid
God
of?
forbid.
So Kite says she's not going to stop. She said, and the county says that it does work with people who want to provide free food safely. So what do you think? What would a good faith meeting look like? What facts should Kite bring? Which requirements should the county explain? What should the next steps be in your mind?
Maybe they should come for breakfast one morning and see the community that is being provided for there, see the gathering, and understand that in this epidemic of loneliness and the need for community that we all have, that maybe this is something worthy of an exception and they should make it happen one way or the other.
If you're just tuning into the show, I'm speaking to Jennifer Bukowsky this morning. She is a powerful mid-Missouri attorney, and she's talking to us a little bit about the news that you can use. It's a story that I feel has a national connotation just because there are little towns like this all over the country, and there are probably other grandmas that are in this kind of scenario. And honestly, I would love...
This is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Like grandmas that wake up at 3:30 in the morning to prepare free food for their whole community. Wow, that's a really nice neighbor.
Yeah, it is. And I hope that she manages to continue to do this. So let's talk about a different Missouri story that's made national news, Jennifer. Sean McElprang, who you know, he's a 55-year-old Missouri deputy attorney general. He was found dehydrated and disoriented near a lake in Wyoming's Wind River Range. He went up the 13,000-foot summit of Gannett Peak. Now, his signature in the summit register is what helps searchers narrow the route between the peak and his tent. So talk to us a little bit about this incredible rescue about a man that you know personally.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see someone forwarded me this article out of Wyoming of Sean McElprang, missing Missouri hiker. Sean's been with the Attorney General's office for 28 years. When I was clerking in the Missouri Supreme Court straight out of law school, his name's on all these briefs. I might have had a couple of cases against him. I've seen him at Federalist Society meetings. So he's been in the legal community and a big part of it for appellate law for a long time. And apparently, as a passion project of his, he's on a mission to hike the highest peak in every state in our country. This was number 45, but he did it on Friday. You're right, you brought that up. He signed the book at the top of the mountain. He was supposed to return on Saturday. The weather was bad on Friday, according to the park officials and who were part of the rescue efforts. And they think that he might have gotten disoriented on the way back down the peak because he made the summit on Friday as planned, and he ended up by a lake that wasn't where his campsite was, wandering around, probably looking for his campsite, confused where it was, and got dehydrated and disoriented. And so day before yesterday, I see this and I put it out on Twitter, like, pray we find him safely, because this isn't something you see every day. Someone that's worked at the Missouri Attorney General's office, he's a deputy attorney general, going missing like this. And usually, unfortunately, these missing hiker cases don't turn out as well as this one.
No,
but fortunately, they did find him.
Yeah, it was a dramatic rescue. A helicopter flew in. They found him dehydrated and disoriented. His family
understanding is up and walking around, so that's good.
Yeah, his family now knows that his Christmas present this year will be a Garmin GPS.
My husband and son go out in the wilderness and they're together. And I'm always asked, you have the SAP fund, or there's these Garmin things for emergencies, and if you're summiting, this is number 45, but yeah, that needs to be a birthday or Christmas gift ASAP. If I were his wife, he wouldn't be going off with that one after the scare that he gave his family.
Jennifer, I meant to ask you, and I would have asked you in another forum, but I'm sure you have a strong opinion about it. Amendment 5, the income tax in Missouri, went down in flames. Well, I know. Your reaction.
Oh, Austin. So I'm co-chair of the Republican National Lawyers Association, and I was on a panel less than a week after we just got decimated with our two top Republican priorities in a state that Trump has won by 17, 18 points. The last three elections, he's won Missouri handily. But then, unfortunately, due to our initiative petition laws, the left is able to play in our state. And I had a chart of again and again and again, like a referendum on right to work, abortion on demand. Like there's a list of things that they've been doing in the last 8 years, actually 8 years. And they even I've had a playbook of theirs, Win the Midwest, where they brag about this and they say that they can flip it. And I'll show you something. This
Nice.
is
Props.
the blueprint. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, you got to put it in front of your face for it to be seen. There you go.
It's how the Democrats won Colorado and why Republicans everywhere should care. And the playbook includes 3 steps, including playing in the initiative petition process that builds up your donor base, that builds up your pipeline, and that gets progressive priorities passed in a red state. And so this Colorado, believe it or not, used to be ruby red not that long ago.
Yeah.
They've used this playbook in Colorado to make it as blue and sometimes bluer than California. And they've made Georgia a swing state in many ways. And they're using this playbook here, and they're able to do it because we have the easiest to amend, constitutional laws in our state when it comes to getting things on the ballot by initiative petition. And now they're fighting to have something where the legislature couldn't refer things to us, like eliminating the state income tax or like initiative petition reform. Not only that, but even if they amend something by statute, which is a lower threshold to get on the ballot by far, it would make it so that the legislature couldn't fix things that they do.
Jennifer, what do you attribute the loss to? Because it wasn't just the left who was fighting us. It was a lot of people who call themselves conservatives in the Republican Party that were fighting us on this.
Yeah, it was the people wanting to make the perfect the enemy of the good. It's just like, have a little bit of faith. Have you not noticed that we have every kind of tax already that the legislature has put on you? They're like, well, what if the legislature increases my Netflix tax too much? Well, they have their hands in our pocket every other way right now. Anyway, if we want to thrive and grow as a state, we need to get rid of the state income tax. That's obvious when you look around our country to see where investment is going, to see where the people are moving. But 83% of people voted for taxes in our state. It's just shocking. And 81% voted not to fix this initiative petition reform. The messaging was bad. I don't know if the timing was off. And I hope that the politicians aren't going to be like, well, we tried. I mean, I love Governor Kehoe, and he did try. But did we try hard enough, Austin?
No. I think what I saw happen, up close is that all of the energy and the the money and the lobbying was all spent on the front side of it, but there was almost no money or energy spent on the back side of it. And the Democrats, they didn't put any energy into trying to stop it in the legislature. They put all of their energy and money in going and fighting it amongst the population. So there needed to be 2 sides to this spear. If we're going to fight this fight, you can't just put all of the energy and money into getting it across the finish line legislatively, because you've got to be ready to fight the battle of war, the war of minds. People were making fun of like the AI donkey that was made, the commercial, that one commercial that went around that was in favor of Amendment 5. But I didn't see any other commercials that came out on that. I saw people putting out bland statements on social media, but there were no rallies. There were no signs. There were no, there was no public town halls going on. It just felt as if everybody who got it across the finish line felt like, oh, the work is done. And then the Democrats swooped in and took it over.
I was nervous in the weeks leading up to it that it was going to lose. I did not see this shellacking coming. I mean, it's limiting the state income tax at the end of the day in a state that Trump won by 17, 18 points. What was everyone's problem?
Well,
But the
they
problem is
saw
if
it as
they
a.
do get this thing on the ballot, Amendment 6, we're going to be out of many of our options in terms of fixing this going forward, because the legislature won't be able to refer things to we the people without 80% from both chambers. But maybe that would be good, because maybe if you have to spend the money to gather the signatures to get something on the ballot, maybe more people will be inclined to vote for it. Who knows?
Didn't we get screwed by the courts as well? Wasn't there a rewrite of the language? Because a lot of the complaints, as Andy Opperman's saying here in the chat, is that the ballot language was extremely unclear. And I spoke to Scott Fawn about that as well. He thinks that the more convoluted the language is on the ballot, the less likely people are to say yes. They're going to say no. But didn't it go through a court process that resulted in that?
It did go through litigation. All of these things do. I don't remember the exact details on how heavy the rewrite was of the language on that particular one, if they did rewrite it. I know they had to rewrite the abortion language a couple of times for Amendment 3 that's coming up this November.
I mean, the problem is that we've got is the courts in Missouri, which lean very heavily left too.
Yeah, well, Cole County is great where you're at.
Yeah.
But then we have the what I jokingly refer to as the non-Republican court plan. It's supposed to be the nonpartisan court plan, but that's not how things tend to shake out. And interestingly enough, when we tried to fix that 12 years ago or so, we lost that one by 74% voting against it.
Well, it is a shame. I don't know what the next steps are going to be. Do you think we'll get another opportunity to try and get rid of the income tax here in Missouri, or do you think that we're going to move on to other things?
We have no choice. If we want to thrive as a state, we need to keep this top of mind and a top priority. So I hope we do get another chance to do it.
All right. Well, Jennifer, this has been a great conversation, and we really loved all your input. As a matter of fact, people over in the chat are all asking, where's her X handle? So it's Esquire on Fire.
ESQ on Fire. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have a Sunday radio show that's a podcast, so it doesn't overlap with you. Sundays, 10 to noon on the Zimmer stations. But you could just subscribe to the podcast, Jennifer Bukowsky Show.
There you go. Follow her on X, ESQ on Fire. Jennifer Bukowsky giving us her legal takes on things, her Liberty legal takes. Jennifer, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for getting up early and being so generous with your time.
Thanks for having me, Austin. Take care.
Yep. Have a wonderful day. That's Jennifer